Stop looking at Facebook.
I don't know if that happened. I think we went live as you were saying it, but I'm not sure. I hope
I think we might have done. Yeah,
I think we
great.
did.
I was going to go like,
might,
if you could
might
not do
actually be the first word of the show. Fantastic. Well, we'll know when we watch it back. So, hello everybody, welcome. It's Team England 40k here. We have a little show for you tonight because it's approaching WTC. It's not very far now until that starts, and we obviously are ramping up the process of preparation, but also obviously it's been a busy time. We've actually done a few 6 months of prep to get to this stage, and we thought it might be fun now to look back on that, talk through that a little bit, and then look ahead to what's coming next. So I'm of course joined by the wizard, the man, the egg, Tony C himself. How are you, Tony?
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, loving our illustrious stream tonight so far.
Yeah,
starting us off with some expletives, but there you go.
Wonderful. And of course, Nassim, you're also here. How are you?
I'm amazing, Tom. I always am. I'm trying to figure out my fucking light.
Nassim was just being very supportive as I tried to fight some death guards. So thanks for that, mate. It was good. Good to have the encouragement. That was really, really fun. So yeah, I think there was only we don't want to do like a massive long show, but I think what we did want to do was just cover a little bit about the year as it's been so far and what the goals were, and then how we've arrived at this 8 that we've announced and everything else. And then I guess we start thinking a little bit and talking a little bit. Well, what happens now? What does if we've only got however many weeks left? What does this look like? What's going on? So obviously you in the chat are very welcome to pipe up as well, and there's a few of you watching, so feel free to chime up. If you've got any questions for Tony, especially, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them within reason. So be nice to him. And so yeah, we're very happy to discuss and feed back with you guys as well. So I think let's get into it and start initially. I think, Tony, with the vision for this year, because if we wind it back 6 months, this has been quite a transitional year. I think in a lot of ways, I think is what a lot of people would say for teaming. A lot of change, and I guess I wanted to roll it right back to start of this year, start of this process, and what you and the other guys were thinking going into it this year.
Well, last year was a funny one. We went into WTC last year with, I think, one of the strongest teams we had in quite a long time, and we came 7th, which is one of, I think that's the lowest I've come at WTC in the time I've been doing it, which is a good 15 years of WTC. I think that isn't because any one person made a mistake or played their army wrong. I think there was just a number of factors that when we sat down for a really honest breakdown of why we didn't achieve what we wanted to, and why in the big rounds, our big losses to USA and France that cost us our placings, really. What went wrong there? And I suppose we also had a draw round to Italy in our final round, which again was not what we should have maybe achieved in our minds. And I think the thing that came out of all of those was, one, morale was an interesting thing at the event.
Yeah.
Two, the team bonding and the process and the selection and how we'd done that year maybe hadn't been as on point as we wanted, because the process didn't force people together.
Yeah. And
to familiarise themselves with each other, the playing styles didn't force them to practice as much as we maybe wanted to. So it was a revamp. That was my first year as captain, and I have been vice captain and helping run the team for a while. But it's very different. I think it feels very different to me when you're leading it, because when you're leading it, at the end of the day, all those criticisms, all those things are to lay at my door, because I'm the one who has to come back with the overarching vision for the next step. So what we did was very quickly, we did our feedback and we had our honest chats. We made some big changes about the process. We had been really benefited by the support of Glasshammer last year and the stream that they did, and that brought more people on, I think, than ever before in terms of seeing the WTC and seeing Team England compete and those close rounds as big wins and the big losses. So we completely revamped the process, and it's been a massive, I would say, a monster of a process this year in terms of the sheer amount of people that we had involved. And then one of the big things we tried to improve on from feedback is actual time to speak to people and feedback itself, and that's so hard, because
it's really hard.
We were doing most recently some selection like final, like those people who didn't quite make the play in 8, and one of the people gave some feedback, well, you should do more regular feedback than you are doing, and I'm like, he said you should speak to everybody involved in the process like at least once every fortnight. And I was like, well, when there's 60 people who each want at least 10 minutes, but realistically that's 20 minutes to half an hour.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm never going to do anything for any evening ever at all for all of the time the process is open.
Yeah.
And even when you get down to what we did was we cut down to 22. Even 22 people receiving half an hour of feedback is to 1 or 2 an evening around plans, partners, children, job. You might want to play your own games 40k occasionally in the evening, whether that be in real life or in TTS. So like that, but I think what that's yielded this year is we've thrown loads more ways to get involved with the team. We created a brand new Discord and revamped that. That's been really successful and really popular. It really is a hub that we can start to direct people to if they want to get involved. I think before we were very much like a Facebook group that you kind of, there was the odd post. That was really it. Now there's a lot more interaction. We've done live events. We've been to events. We've had people be on England teams for just fun events and for competitive events. We've gone 2 more events. So we tried to really rebrand and re-envision what Team England should be. And I think it should always have been and should, and it's not, again, it's no dig to anybody in the past or what we were or weren't doing. I think it should be for the future a hub for that works in the background of the English 40k community.
Completely.
And we should try to involve ourselves in as many different club groups, tournaments, etc. as possible. I don't think that we're ever going to be like an Art of War kind of financial institution because I don't think that's what they should be. I think it should be a community group for the 40k community.
Yeah,
but
it's amazing though. I think on that level, so the community aspect, especially, I think that's I don't know what you think, but that's felt like the biggest success for me in this first year. You brought all of the top teams and top players in this country are in the same hub now, right?
It was it was crazy. Like when we first, I guess, kicked up at the start of the year, and everybody was joining, and everyone was like in Discord playing games. I was thinking, oh damn, this is like a night and day difference. Last year, just at the start of the process, because last year at the start of the process, there was like a couple of people that were in the Discord, maybe some people will hop into chat. There'll be Chris Kinnair just in one of the
lurking,
and like that was kind of like the Discord, like you just go into the chat and then like you message on Facebook. But now it really feels like the Discord is like there's a lot more people involved, whether those be directly within Team England or people from other countries and other teams. Like I think one of the honestly points of pride is like we have people play on the Discord from like other countries. So like
all over the world.
Well, Sam said in the chat that it's for getting high school practice games, and it is because you do get your Liam VSLs and
you do.
and your Brian's jumping in from Team USA and coming and going, anyone want to play my latest list? And you might get spanked.
Not for the next 3 months.
But you might lose that game quite quickly, but at least you got to play that game and you got to see what that game looked like and chat that through with that person. And often they'll let you pick their brains a little bit about the matchup and your army. And so but that's what it should be.
100%.
And it's quieter now than it was September to December because, that's always been a natural part of the process. When we are opening the doors to recruit, there was a big old group of 60-odd people that were getting involved in kind of a league task. We've already got plans that to reimagine that to make it more accessible and probably more short form because I think, again, the first time we've ever attempted something like that led to things like it was unwieldy to manage. People getting games was difficult. People would end up in random matchups where they just, it was so on WTC random terrain that was generated and a mission that was generated. It was so black and white on what they were going to get the result that you just kind of went, I'm getting spanked. Great. Yeah. What practice was that for me or my opponent? But those are, again, that's the point of doing it and at least trying it is we can refine it and go forward with it again. And I think that I'm not saying this year was was perfect, and there's lots of people that you might talk to and say that it wasn't. But there's loads of things that I think we've at least laid the foundations for, and we can work on for future years.
100%. Yeah, I think the direction of travel has been great. I think the community's great. It's nice to think there's people in the chat who have been playing in there through the year. So Fitch is in, Sam from Black Crow is in, and I think Sam's completely right. The Discord's become a really fantastic place. You've got lots of faction chats going on. You've got games being played. And as you say, a bit quiet right now because obviously all the internationals have gone off and hidden away. But I guess in terms of, I wasn't sure how much you wanted to talk about the actual 8 and the actual selection itself in the end, Tony. But obviously you've learned a lot. In terms of the 8 players that you've got here, how are you feeling about your comp and your setup of players, having got to the end of sort of 6 months of running the rule over people?
There's this guy called Tom Lohman who.
He's useless. He's useless. Absolutely useless.
Well, I think a thing that came up this year that people were surprised about, or things we went with in terms of team choice, is you may or may not have seen that TTS is something that we insist on being used as part of the process. I mean, we've had some high profile discussions about that. I think on social media, we've had people that I think others would say are definite shoo-ins for the team that aren't involved in the team this year because they can't or don't want to access TTS, and that I think that is
it's a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker at the moment because we've just recently played a scrim with America on TTS. We've played a scrim against Germany, against France. We're playing other international teams in WTC games where the pressure is on, where you've paired it and you've tried it to see your army if it works in that setting, if it does what you wanted it to do, and it's a nice friendly game on TTS, but it's still a bit cutthroat because it's WTC practice, because most of those are taking place during the selection prep, with only 1 or 2 after selection. I think the playing 8 we picked this year are people that have shown repeatedly through the year that they can work well with other people, can play well with other people, can refine a faction, and will take some direction. And the last one is not because I'm the 40k Oracle and I'm going to tell somebody what to do. But I mean, Sam just said it in the chat. If you can't play and practice together, you can't be a team. And I think that lots of people would remark about the France winning team last year that there's no, whilst there are very good players on that team that won the WTC, clearly, there was no world famous like John Lennon star player, no Nick Nanavati, no Manny or Nassim, or even going to the next pecking down, we didn't have a David Gaylor, we didn't have a Vic Vito, we didn't have people that are super well known or really fantastic players on our scene or anything like that. That France didn't have that, at least on that scale, but they had a really solid 8. And actually, we'd been to events for France during the year. France had some really poor results. They had a poor pyro. They'd had been to other team events and not done what they wanted, but they kept working on it and kept refining it. And you know what? It came good at the event. And that's not to say that my model is now I'm only going to pick unknowns, and if you have to be somebody who's never played 40k because that's going to spoil it. That's not the point. But you have to show the willingness and the work ethic. And again, when we had that really strong 8 of players who all super experienced, really well known, a lot of them turned around and said, actually, guys, I think we as an 8 didn't practice enough. We as an 8 didn't gel enough. We as an 8 didn't work with each other enough to collaborate and refine lists, because we were all a bit like we always are with WTC, frantically scrabbling at the last minute with it to find our own list and to sort it out. And I think we've addressed that all the way through the process with every task we've done, with every group thing we've done with the team selection for events, where we've very much made it that all of the teams are very much balanced teams. They're split up teams. There's no winning team and then everybody else. From the ground up, that's been the underlying focus. Get a team of people that will work together. And when we got it down to what was probably 10 to 11 people to pick a team from, there were 10 or 11 individuals, and there were 3 or 4 that were just straight in, and then it really was choice about what little nuances got the others over the line. And we've had real disappointment. We've had lots of people disappointed that they couldn't be on the team this year. We've had some real heartbreak. We've had some frustration, some anger. You get that every year with every team, but I think
it's fair to say it was like, I think because of the intensity of the process this time, I think people obviously invested a lot in it, right? So I think that was always going to hurt in some ways because of how much people threw at it and how much effort, because so many people made so much effort, right?
I already feel like last year's WTC was literally a lifetime ago. Like it was like I was playing 7th edition 40k. I can tell you the war stories and this went wrong. It was such a different time for Team England. And what I will say is people might look at our line this year and go, but I don't know half of these people, or these people are new, or this person is playing 40k for a couple of years. And you're right, well, that's right, they are. But the point of the process is that behind the team, There's me. I've been to WTC a few times. I know what I'm doing. The Seam is a very good singles player. You've got Matt Robertson, who's been an ex-WTC captain and a long-term WTC player. We've got a coach, Dave, who's also been doing WTC prep with us for a very long time. We've got a selection of players who didn't make the team, but are very good players who are helping out as well. And what we've been able to do is expand what was essentially 8 people and 2 coaches last year, trying to find the best at this, into a group of maybe 20, plus extras that are playing and chipping in to really build that team mentality ethos. So I think I'm really happy with the 8. I'm not going to predict a podium finish. Or I'm not going to say we're going to come, but if we were to achieve a podium finish, I'd be absolutely chuffed. The goal is a top 10 finish because the rankings of WTC are managed every couple of years. But I think that's just a realistic thing of the game is going to be a bit more settled going in. So expecting everybody else to be on the same sort of list as us. You know, with the MFM having settled now early, with the balance changes not being that crazy, with no real new books that come and shake up the meta, I think we're pretty much faction set for 6 or 7 or 8 of our players, and then it's just switching around and refining bits. Yeah,
Nass on guard, 18 Bulgarian. Let's go.
Thomas on the team is still on his guard. Points decreases in the MFM. Naz, you've got to be pleased.
Yeah, Death Riders went down, mate. You're golden. You're fine. You're laughing. Actually, I did. Let's let Nass have a better time for a minute. I did want to ask you, Nass. Obviously, this is your first year. You've been sort of in the sort of vice position of late. And how have you found stepping up a little bit in terms of responsibility and leadership this time?
I don't envy what Chu has to do.
Yeah,
it's just like, and I guess it was so it's kind of odd because at the start of the process, it was like very much like full on. It's like I need to do this, and that, and I was just like, I'm going to die. I was like, I was like, I can't. I think at reached one point I was like, can I just apply next year? Is what I was thinking in my head for like there was a good like 2-week period. I was like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
But then like it's no, it's rewarding. Like you get like you speak. I mean, like I already speak with a lot of the players already, but like bit of coaching them, giving them advice, getting things done in terms of whether it be helping them with their matrix. I'm still even now still getting used to it. But it is very much demanding. In and because I was going for playing sport, I didn't see the full on experience of through the selection process and being part of the selection committee or have a like in the way that we pick a team. But it's very much been demanding, just herding adults together, getting them to fill in the matrix, getting them to sort out lists, get it done. Here's your deadline.
Nassim cannot format a Word document to save his life. By the
way,
you're not let him arrange that for you.
I've managed, like I know, like strengths and weaknesses. All right, strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
You can make it look pretty. I will get us from A to Z, and then it just that journey there. It won't look like visually appeasing. You can do that for me. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
that's good, and I guess it's a sign of how big a transition it's been. You are sort of essentially one of the most senior players in the 8, right? And it feels like it was only a year or 2 ago that you were the young blood, and it's interesting the way it changes.
2 years ago,
yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, coming back around to it. I mean, Sam in the chat is putting out, "Aren't you playing a Death Guard player?" I mean, Sam, it's got guard in the name.
It all counts.
But I think a big thing with WTC is, and we always say this, it's in our charter. You can't be a captain for the WTC unless you've been.
Yeah.
So, and that's not. It's not a boys' club. I'm really proud of the record that in every single year I've been involved with Team England, 15 to 16 years now. We're looking at there's a new player every year, at least one.
Yeah.
And they're not always. Yeah, they haven't always been new to the WTC. But this year it's a lot of new players. But the point is, if you're good enough, then we'll look at you, and if we think that you fit, then fit. And I've said this to lots and lots of people, being a captain of a WTC team, and virtually every nation does this, is like being a football manager. You look at the people in training, you watch them put themselves forward, you watch them play with their teammates, and you pick the 11 to go out on the pitch and do it. We're picking our 8.
Listen, the title of team captain sounds pretty, but you could not hold it to my head and make me do it.
Well, I mean,
It's horrible.
it's a lot of it. It's not horrible in terms of. Well, actually, there's bits of it horrible, but it's lots and lots of admin work and chasing and conversations because I alluded to it before, right? If you want to give somebody feedback and they want to know how to improve something, 5 minutes is not enough. It's not enough in a professional role, and even though we're doing a hobby, people are the amount of time and effort they're putting in over a period of like 6-7 months. It feels like they need more than a 5-minute cursory chat going. Thanks very much. You're not playing on the team this year. It's make Naz do stuff. I mean, if I want it done, this is to be fair. I think we have all been through a learning process with the amount of things we've taken on this year.
Oh, hugely so. You've sort of built an actual architecture, right? It feels like it's a big difference. Even like obviously, last year was the first time I was even anywhere around the setup, and there's a huge architecture now around it, which is massive operation to run. And you and Robbo and Dave have been massively busy with that because you've essentially built an administration, right? Which is very different.
But the way we've approached that is that if me, Dave, and Robbo all suddenly step back and other people step into it. I mean, I don't think I'll ever step back from Team England as long as it's a thing to be involved in. And that isn't to say that I won't ever not give up the captaincy or I will ever not play again for the team. But I think if people want my insight and input, I, like others, will always be around to offer it. That's just the way that we're setting it up. So the Discord, the I suppose the infrastructure around it, the process. Once we have got that, I suppose, more refined, it'll be easier, I think, to bring the next person in and go, that person wants to run it this way or tweak it that way. It's great. What's the United Wargamer said? Do you think it would be useful to have live scores for each team game in team tournaments? I mean, so America does.
They have a little board, don't they, where it's all updating?
I mean, the nature of 40k is, I think we as England haven't necessarily topped the podium for a very long time now in terms of WTC terms. And so we don't quite have the same scale and structure that other international teams do. So France, the whole of the French team is supported by the French War Games League, which is like essentially they have clubs and teams of 8 that compete in leagues, and the winning team becomes their WTC team. Like, it's a whole different infrastructure. So imagine we had the UKTC, ITC team event, and at the end of the ITC calendar, the winning team became Team England. That's what they have in France already. Other countries have that sort of thing, but not even on the same scale. But that then have a ton of funding funded into it. Art of War is the bulk of the Team America team, and it's not that they pay for everything, but they're able to put them in contests with sponsors and groups, etc., and generate that. So United Wargamer, it would be amazing, and some of the teams have like their own portable hub that when they stream games, they actually keep a live update, and you can watch it on their website or through their own portals, whatever it is. But that's for the future. It's something that I think WTC has talked about. Tom Adriani, WTC founder, is in the chat. Good evening, Tom. It's something that the captains discussed up in terms of like streamers and how many you get. Because I think, 40k has exploded in...
It's been an insane
the time that I've been playing competitive. Yeah. I mean, I'm in my 40s now. If I was in my 20s, I'd be totally going... I'd try and do streaming, playing all tournaments I could do. Because when I was doing that at Naz's age, right? That was it. I just went to some random RTT, and then when there was a 90-man event, it was like, wow, 90 people. And now it's there's 450 at the next UKTC one. Oh, I'm going over to Germany as a 300-person event. I'm going over to the Worlds in Atlanta. It's so exciting.
It's an incredible time.
I just need to get all my children grown up and out of the house, and then I can be there. But WTC is looking at and the captains would love to have. We're generally as a group of captains. We have our own conversations. We come up together. We thank you very much, Matt. We bring the kind of our thoughts together and share that with the WTC organisers, and I think that everybody agrees. 40k. In the WTC format, the point is to try and share that with as many as possible, because it just breeds more interest for everybody. And the problem with that is that everybody could bring their own streamer from their own nation.
Yes.
To do that. Oh, I can't say it to my Facebook and type it on the screen, Shay.
That's great.
He's such a millennial.
But coming back to that question, it would be great. Live scores for every game. If you could flick or follow between them, if you could switch to a channel and go, I want to watch my nation, or I want to watch this. I mean, sure. If you could do every game. That's it.
Getting to do it last year, obviously I was on the commentary, and getting to just actually be bringing the news of the scores and the games to people live like that was insane, right? It was, and you just had people in an absolute frenzy at home for the news and the information. I think so. It felt like it took a real step forwards in terms of how immediate and also how much like a sort of real covered sporting event it felt like last year. I think that was a huge difference. Hopefully they'll continue to see more of that. So. I've got a lot of love for Tony's age in the chat.
Imitation is the highest form of flattery, Matt.
Yeah,
exactly.
When Matt told me he was 26, I was like, "What?" It's like, Matt, you've lived 1,000 lives, son.
Sam's the same. If you've been to those old events, you know what I'm talking about, Sam. The good old days of rolling into a Cali to see what everybody had brought. Yeah, those were the days. But, I think that the United Wargamer, if you want, you should need to message Tom Adriani 3 messages up and just share it. If you've got something that would do that, because that is always on the lookout. But I think the event itself has changed a lot from what it used to be. Just it used to be a bigger consortium. Since WTC stepped away and became its own thing, it's only been fantastic. New venue this year, which I'm really excited to go somewhere new. Actually, the bottom 10 games with Cali were downstairs. In the storage area for the martial arts place. But it should be great. And Alpine's been there loads. The town's putting on loads for us to have us there. So it looks like it's going to be a fantastic event.
It's going to be great. And I think the hype around it will be very real. I think we had a few comments in the chat that sort of just alluded to it, but I think as the profile of the game has grown, so has the profile of the England team and of WTC. And I think your average 40k player is much more aware of all those things now than they were even a couple of years ago. So I think there'll be a big community investment and buy into it, which is super, super exciting. I guess, Tony, for you now, what does the next few weeks look like? What's happening? What are we going? What you've been around this loop many times. What does the run-in mean for you and for everyone else?
Well,
for me and Nas as well.
It's trying to beat Thousand Suns.
Well, this goes out on the 7th. This goes out on the 7th, and we have to have our lists in on the 13th of the next month. So you're literally a month and a week away, and we've got to have everything set, and then it's that frantic thing of waiting for the list to come out. I think compared to previous years, I think all of the things we said about the previous year's team and what we tried to address that is we took all that feedback was really useful to go, okay, we need to be ahead of where we were at this point. So when I went on to some podcasts last year and talked to people about WTC, I was saying, I think we know we're just ironing things out. I actually think we're much further along in terms of that, and we're much further down the line. And we like what we're doing now is starting to refine our matrix choices into potential other teams and matrix choices that they're going to bring. And I think that is something that that didn't really happen until the post list reveal stage. And that'll have to be tweaked, and everybody will spot something that somebody's come up with and go, oh my God, mind blowing. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll be us. But that's the process at the moment is one, trying to make sure that we've got 8 players settled on list, get these new players confident with a list on WTC terrain. Again, the year's been a mixture of singles and teams and UKTC, non-WTC events. We're not blessed like other countries where WTC is the only format they play on. So it's training people to recognise certain patterns in maps, certain play styles of certain maps. And I think we've really made great strides with that. We're just playing loads of games. Again, comes forward. TTS is a big part of that. Because best will in the world, 2 to 3 games a week isn't enough.
No.
It just, and I mean that across the team, like having one game and then go, cool, I'll see you next week and I'll think about it all week. It's just not enough. No, and because now on TTS, we can watch the other games. I've already watched 3 games happen today and talked to the players during the games, coached them a little bit on mistakes, talked to them things about how they can do, go on, how do we tweak this? How do we change that? So, you've got to understand that the process gets more and more busy, I suppose, really, this time of year. We're just pushing it to get as close to the perfect date. And there'll always be a bit of envy. You always go and go, oh, this will do well, this is too bad. And equally, you get some guy with your list and he wins all of his games and you lose all your games because you're at different ends of the hall or you're in different matchups. So you just get different pairings, different times. It's just how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, completely. And I think it's interesting. I think I agree with you that the meta is more settled at this stage, or a lot of the obvious candidates are more settled at this stage than they were last year. And it does feel like that helps, because actually it means you can focus a lot more energy into the few places that things need to still be sorted out, which is nice.
Yeah, and I think none of the guys we've picked are like, it's not like we're training everybody to play 40k.
No,
That's not
no,
what
no.
I'm saying. But I think it's we played a game, well, we were watching the games before, we were talking about, weren't we, that it's little mistakes are 2 to 3 points, the differential points, and when you lose a round by 4, 5, 6 points, or you draw a round by 2, 3 points, or you win by 1, it's getting those little mistakes right.
Yeah.
And it's why the best WTC players are the guys who go and play 200 games with their army once they've picked it. It's not a lie to say people like Anthony Vanel for USA played 200 games with his World Eaters, 300 games with his World Eaters.
Yeah.
It's not a lie to say that Liam VSL just basically lives in a cave on TTS, just playing all day. And then you go, why are these people better at 40k than I am? And you go, well, it's not because that they have some
they work
magic.
hard.
It's not because they've hacked their TTS dice tray. It's because they work hard at it and they just practice and practice and practice. And I've always said this, because you can probably find this elsewhere online. How do I get better at 40k? When that person puts their army in front of you, know what it's trying to do. If you don't know, and it's just guesswork, you leave everything open to a mistake. Completely. And I know that we like to play 40k, we're like intent and no gotchas and everything, but there's always an element of gotcha where if you don't know what something can do, it's going to ruin you.
That's inevitably, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you're not going to coach your opponent to beat you, especially not in WTC.
It was like Inari at Pyro, right? Everyone on paper sort of had a look at that, but then that was the first big event where it was out, and it was devastating in the right matchups. Like, absolutely devastating.
Yeah, because at WTC level, I'm not expecting my opponent to tell me when he's got a reactive move. I'm not expecting my opponent to tell me when his Inari's going to move after I shot something. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting my opponent to warn me every time he could Overwatch with a gun, because they're all like fundamentals of the game that you go. Yeah. And that's not to say that'll be a really bad game or a horrible game, but like if I move a unit and you could see it and you're within 24 and you've got a gun, you can Overwatch it.
Yeah.
These are the things.
Yeah.
So I think that there's loads of refinement and practice, and every team is the same. Naz mentioned already that we won't be open doors, and then Sam in the chat was asking us really whether we can get involved at the moment. We have a bigger group of players, and we don't necessarily expand that at this point because we're in that tiny phase where we just need people to be able to try and behind closed doors come up with a comp. There is a bit of secrecy there. There isn't, in other team games.
maybe we know something.
Yeah, maybe we do. Maybe we don't. I know the teams will be doing the same thing, but that will, after the 13th of July, that'll change because we'll all be out of games. Then it'll just be, and again, we'll push the squad back out into the main Discord to go play some games, go try some games, and it does bring other players in. It does bring international players back in as well. So you'll see the same from other teams as well. But once that list's out there, equally other players will see the lists and want to go practice with them. Because they'll go, this team's running this amazing Imperial Guard list. I want to try it. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's going to be very interesting.
God is good.
Tom, Naz has actually commissioned a full-time, locked somebody in a room to paint his army for him, basically.
As I say, Jack Tight is essentially the commission painter for the team at the moment.
I pay Jack a healthy amount to eat food on the table. There you go.
Yeah. But I think
and Jack's in the chat. Oh wow, you're giving him Wi-Fi access. That's
Jack
really
Tight
nice
says,
of you.
Hi, Nassim's paint slave here. That's really cute. Get back to work, Jack.
A salute from Tom Adriani is a big thing. That's
lovely. I'd say that it will be a very nice looking army because Jack's a beautiful painter.
Exactly. Are those Death Guard ready? Yeah, Jack.
Oh, amazing. I mean, I think that was everything I was looking to cover for this first one, lads, as we kind of get back at it. I think maybe, I don't know if there's any other topics you guys want to touch on before we close up.
No, I think we're going to try and just be once a week, I think, generally over the next few weeks, just to try and come on and just have a chat, talk about what we're up to.
Build that community engagement.
Yeah, I think we'll reflect a bit on some of the things we're looking at as well, because I think there's some things that are secret. There's other things that we can talk about, the choices around, sure. Just things from the MFM recently about what choice of flavour of Chaos you're going to run in your team lists, whether Chaos Knights make the cut, whether we think that they have a place. Because, if you look back over the year, there's tons that you'd say Chaos Knights were, tons of lists and teams that was saying that they were potentially in their 8. So whether they make that cut, what flavour of Space Marine you like, Do you like it a bit furry? Do you like it a bit solemn? Do you like it a bit vampire? You know,
yeah.
Which team were you on for Team Twilight? So that's
Yeah.
there's loads to look at.
Yes.
It'd be nice if you guys could join us for that. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
And we are partnered with 6++ this year, so they're going to be doing a lot of our kind of
we'll have some
social
interviews.
media bits.
We'll have some interviews coming as well, and we'll get those rolling before too long. So player profiles will get to know the 8 that have been selected and everything else. And yeah, I mean, I think the only other thing to say is obviously thanks everyone for tuning in and listening. And I think the engagement and the support so far with the team's been huge. We've had loads of lovely comments, loads of encouragement from people, and I think that the noise around the team is really good. So keep that coming. I think there's a lot of work to be done now, so we'll all feel good if we've got a few people cheering us on as we go.
Before we finish, if you want to get involved with Team England and you haven't found us before, you can find us on Facebook. There is we'll stick. Well, to be fair, if you go and find us on YouTube, it's Team England 40K is the channel on YouTube, and virtually all of our videos
and Instagram now as well.
It's the Instagram as well, but I don't think the Instagram one has. But I will make sure that on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube there's an updated Discord link so that you on this video so that you can join and come and get some games on the Discord and come and join us. That's probably the biggest hub that we have now. I think that's the place we'd point you towards. And thank you very much to everybody who's supported us over the years so far. We've had tons of people at events as opponents come up to say to us, it's been great to play. It's been great to see the change. They've really enjoyed the kind of push to be more out there and accessible as a team. So thank you. If that's been you, they have been. Yeah, even about you, about you, Naz.
I don't believe that.
It's said this since your army stopped making their eyes bleed. They've really enjoyed their games.
Oh, really? Oh. Yeah. That part I do really.
The one upside of playing him on TTS is that the models are at least painted. So
weirdly, Nassim is absolutely like really, really anal about picking the right type of model with the right shoulder pads on TTS. But in real life,
he's
like
very fussy with his
gold wash and then a toddler level of crayon color on top.
Listen. I really want models to look pretty, but I am not willing to put the effort into that. If I have the option to, I want them to look pretty. I'm very particular, even with my guard and like my death guard. I want to make sure that I've got the exact correct models that WYSIWYG.
He reflects that in his stream channel. Could even get the logo in the background. He's got some lovely nets in there. You know what I mean? So lovely delicate flower design.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I even told Tom, Tom, you need to backscript the TTS models.
No, I do. I mean, I'm yellow scarves. That's what I need to do. I think I'm awful for that. My abiding memory of last WTC is just Vic VJ putting KD and Flesh Tone on Bulgrin in the lobby, and we're playing in like an hour, and I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening. I cannot believe that this is the England national 40k team, and Vic's just putting Wash on his shoulder. Like, what am I doing?
Well, yes,
absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. I'm going to say little and often is going to be the plan. We want to keep checking in as we start to build the hype for WTC. So we'll be back again before too long and start thinking about armies and metas and all sorts of interesting things. Might be good. Actually, one thing we might do is set up a little podcast questions in the England Discord, so you guys who want to tune in can chuck questions that you'd like answered on the show, and we can pick through those in the future. So we'll look to get that set up. But yeah, if you haven't got involved in the England selection process and you're interested, the Discord, Facebook, everywhere else, that's where Tony suggested. Go find those. Let's just make that process in that community even bigger, even more work for Tony to do next year. Keep it going. And we will see you all again next time. Bye, guys. See you later.
Chat, guys. Bye.
Bye.